Hey everybody, it's John Anthony Chihawk Soltero, better known to some of you around YouTube and the Tucson community as the Anti-Hero. Um, so last night I read The Truth, Red, White, and Black, which was like a retconning and a retelling of the actual origin of Captain America and the Super Soldier program that created him. Um, I want to do that review and that reaction justice. So I'm not going to do that right here. I've been thinking about making a video all day long after posting the video from the El Toro Fuerte from this past weekend, where we talked about the crowdfunding campaign and the Bubba Patrol and the upcoming 2 signing and party events to raise money for the Bubba Files and BP3. But the entire month of June is really synonymous with one thing around the country, and that is Pride. And Pride is something that you do not have to be part of the LGBTQ community to participate in. You can be an ally, you can be an advocate, you can be a friend, a family member, you can be somebody who just wants to learn more about what individuals in that community do day to day. You know, I mean, we're all normal people. We all, live our lives one day at a time, putting one foot in front of the other kind of thing. And I said we, and that is my way. This is almost 2 years in the making, and this is a super difficult and emotional thing for me to just come out and say. In October of not last year, but in October of 2017, I was able to say it out loud for like the very, very first time in my life. I identify as queer. I took a very, very long time to think about what that meant to me before I ever came out. The first person I told was my sister, who was extremely compassionate about it. She wanted to know what that meant to me, because it means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And what queer means to me is, although I predominantly would project as heterosexual, I'm not gender conforming in that I don't believe men and women have specific gender roles. I don't believe a woman has to be the caregiver, that the man has to be the breadwinner, or he has to be the more physically imposing person, or the protector, or what have you. What that means to me is, and not that this has come about for me in any way, shape, or form, but that I would hope that if I found somebody who made me happy, regardless of their gender, regardless of how they were biologically born or how they identify currently, that I would choose happiness versus what I think society expects of me, or what I think I expect of me, or what my family or friends would expect of me, that I would choose happiness versus fitting to cultural norms and stereotypes. And what that means to me is just being who I am. And the night I told my sister, I actually marched in the Pride Parade here in Tucson. And it was a really neat experience, but I felt super exposed. Like everybody could see, like people could see through me. Not that that's a bad thing, but it was a very vulnerable position for me, and I have a very hard time being vulnerable. So making this video is fairly difficult for me. If you can tell, I'm stammering with a lot of my words and mixing things up. So what happened that night after marching in the parade? I came home. I was watching videos or something. I don't really remember what it was specifically, but I instantaneously began thinking, like, what does this change about me as a person? Do I have to start behaving a specific way? Do I have to start dressing a specific way? Do I have to start dating other queer people? Do I have to start showing interest in men? Like, what does that mean? And I started because when you have obsessive compulsive disorder, everything just keeps going in your head, and you overthink. You can't actually stop. So I talked to a friend of mine who has also been out for a few years, and she has had some very compassionate members of her family. But she's also had some very, very close-minded, bigoted members of her family. And she's like super strong about it, because she said, basically, if this is how you feel, I'm just cut me off from your life, because I don't want to be a part of your family if that's how you view me. And I stand by her, and I'm really lucky to have parents who are very supportive of that announcement, and a sister who's extremely supportive of that announcement, and friends who have been very supportive of that announcement. Although I've only told a few. So I talked to my friend, and I said, well, like, what does that mean? What do I have to change about myself? And she just kind of started laughing. And she said, who are you right now? Like, how do you feel right now? And I was just like, well, I feel kind of stupid for even thinking that. And she's like, well, because you're still who you were 5 minutes before you told me, and you still are who you were, 2 days before you told your sister, and you still are who you were before you told your mom and your dad. So, like, why does that change anything about who you are? I think, too many of us don't really strive for happiness in our lives. And I read an article today on CNN, and it really made a difference to me, because there was a woman who wrote the article who was straight all her life, and she got married, and she had 2 beautiful kids. She had who she described as, she married her best friend, and she was in love, but there were all these things that she kept seeing and thinking, and eventually got to the point where she had to come to that self-realization and make that admission. And she showed the text messages that her parents sent back to her. She said what her mom or her sister said when she told her first. So I guess it's kind of like-minded. You tell your siblings because they're of the same generation, and they're going to probably, care about you the most, since you have the most ties between your parents. But this is just me doing my best to be authentic. And, we all say and do things that maybe, shield who we are, or to build the wall up, and to make ourselves seem stronger and more defensive than we have to be. But that's not necessary. A couple years ago, after the 2016 election, I got this safety pin tattooed on me to show people that I was an ally, that it didn't matter who they were, where they were, what walk of life they were from, or what they were dealing with. And I put it right near my wrist, so that I normally wear my shirt sleeves rolled up when I'm at work, so people can still see that. And I got that done because I wanted people to be able to see it. I didn't want it hidden anywhere. I didn't want it to be some sort of a secret message. I wanted it to be right there. And then a year later, I was able to come to terms with it within myself, and start working towards my own, happiness and stuff, which has been 3 years in the making now. And it feels really, really good to say this on a public forum. And, whether I lose fans, or whether I gain fans, or whether absolutely nothing changes, I'm going to be me. And I encourage you to be you, and to love who you are, and to do everything you can to be happy with who you are. Because we only have one life, and you might as well live that life as yourself, authentically and truly. And I thank you for watching this video. And you have my support, no matter who you are or how you identify. I just hope you can find that happiness within yourself, and that strength within yourself to live the remainder of your life as you are, because that's what I'm going to do. Happy Pride, everyone.